Welcome to Finsweet Cookie Consent for Webflow. I'm Joe Krug, founder of Finsweet. I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about cookie consent in Webflow. Welcome to the Preference Manager Setup walkthrough. We're going to set up the Preference Manager. We are going to allow users to change their cookie consent options, and we're going to cover it all from step one right now. Let's do it. First, this is an add-on for option 2 and 3. This is not for option 1. If you're an informational cookie message user, you can't even use the Preference Manager because there's nothing to manage. You can for option 2, and you absolutely must for option 3. Let's get into it. First, we need to go and build the manager component. You can copy and paste it from our Webflow build, our Webflow clonable build, or you can build it here with us right now. We're also going to add some attributes, but first, let's build the structure. We're going to have the manager as the outer element, and then the open preferences as the inner element. So let's go do that. We're going to go and have our banner component hidden. This is a brand new component, and we're going to go in here with an FSCC manager component. I'm going to go copy paste this prefix. This is for keeping neat and organized. Talked about this in the last video with option 2 and 3. Okay, let's go in here and add this link block. This can also be a div. It does not need to be a link, but we're using link so that it has a pointer that is automatically set for users to click on. Okay, we have the FSCC manager, and this is going to be the, let's call it the button. Cool. Let's go and add a bit of content. We're going to go and add a piece of text here as well. I want to show you that you can have text inside of this button. You can have anything inside of this button. You can have a Lottie animation in this button. It doesn't matter. As long as the attributes are properly applied to the elements, it's going to work. Preferences, and we will definitely go put an image in here. And that image is going to be this nice cookie. Great. So let's go and name these things. Let's call this even the text. Let's go and call this the image. And now we are going to, let's flex it for now. We may change this, but for now, let's just get some structure going. Okay, I'm going to go and add some spacing here. And let's definitely go and add some color here. And for now, I'm going to add a different color just so we can see the contrast between the white background and this. Cool. Let's go and put this on the bottom of the screen. We definitely want this on the bottom. So I'm going to go and position fix this down on the bottom. Sweet. All right. So we have our manager component. We have the button. We have the text inside. Let's make this look half decent. Let's give it a 25. It's a nice cookie. Open preferences. Cool. Let's give it some pizzazz. And bam, that looks great. Okay, let's make this manager a bit separated from the bottom. We're going to work in pixels here. So let's go 16, 16. And there we go. This is starting to look pretty good. Let's just change around some important elements here. And let's go and add a box shadow just to see what we're doing. Okay, I'll go 180. We're going to go 2, not 24. We'll go 2, 4 with a bit of an off black on, let's say, 15. Cool. So now we can see this preferences, and when you have content in the background, this will be fixed as you scroll down the screen. This is what we want. This button has to be accessible, and it has to be clickable and visible at all times. The user has to have the option to go and change their settings. Let's also go and change this automatic link color to the same blue as this. And just for fun, let's go bold. Great. Now I feel bad for the banner. Let's just take a look at this ugly banner we have. If you were with us in the last video, we have this banner here, and geez, maybe it needs a little bit of love. Let's just do this for fun, right? There we go. Now it's starting to look like something. Something is going on here. Cool. And nice. Okay, now we're professional. Look how cool this looks. Great. I will now go and hide this. We actually don't care about it anymore. And now let's go add these attributes. Remember, we just built the structure. We have to now tell the library what these elements on the page are. So let's add FSCC Manager to the outer parent and then FSCC Open Preferences to this button. And if you were with us in the last video, you may remember the Open Preferences attribute. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. FSCC Manager first. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And then in here we have the FSCC Open Preferences. Remember, we saw this inside the banner component. So if I show the banner component, we have this same button, Open Preferences. This button can be placed in multiple areas. This is totally okay. It is a trigger to go and open the preference component, which we're about to go build. So you put it somewhere, it's going to open the preferences. If you have more questions or you're more curious about how this works, there's a video about attributes, and I talk very specifically about how we can use these attributes and where we can use these attributes. Great. Let's now go and hide this. And hide is up here. And great. Okay, so this is good. This is looking pretty nice here. And we are done with this, and let's confirm. Great. Step 2. Now we need to build the preferences component. Okay, this one is a little bit more element intensive than this manager component. But don't worry, we're going through step by step. Everything will be super clear. Okay, now we are going to add a new component here. And now you may start to understand why we're using this naming system. That we have all organized our banner elements, our manager elements, and if we want to update the style of something, it's not going to change something else, which is what we want for this instance, for what we are doing right now. Let's go into the add a div block, and let's see what we have to do. I don't even know what we're doing yet. Hold on. The FSCC preferences attribute should go on the outer parent. Okay, let's go and do that. We're going to add a button here. We're going to add some text. We're adding a form element, right? We're going to add some toggles, or in this, we're going to add checkboxes. The toggle is a little bit next step. If you know how to add a toggle, you can do it, but the checkbox is what we'll go through here. And then we have submit and deny. Great. All right, let's go do it. I'm going to go and add an outer element, and this is going to be the outermost preferences UI container. So I'm going to call this the FSCC prefs component. Nice. We have the prefs component. Let's get this started strong with a fixed bam. And we'll go super big on this. Nice. Z-index, making sure that this is right in the front of the screen here. We have our prefs component, and we want to make sure we are centered. Just thinking ahead a little bit, I'm going to go and add a close. I'm going to go in here and do an FSCC prefs. Let's copy this. Prefs. Let's copy this. And this will be close. I'm getting a little bit ahead here, but I don't want to forget this. This is not in the docs. Oh, it is in the docs. Here we go. So I'm going to show this right now. And this is not correct. I'm going to change this after this video. This should not be, well, it can be, but we're not going to do that. We're going to make this a div. So this is going to be position fixed. It's going to be here. And we are going to make a sibling element to the close of a form. So we're going to put a Webflow form in here. The reason we have to use a Webflow form is because we need the checkboxes. and the checkboxes can only be put in the form. Let's go and name this something logical. Keep our Webflow build neat. This will be the form cookie consent. Awesome. Okay, we have our form block. Let's give it a little bit of love. FSCC prefs form wrapper. Let's go one level down to the prefs form, and there we go. And if you missed that, I'm using my arrow keys to go prefs form wrapper, prefs form, and we do not need a field label. We don't need any of this, actually. We're going to keep the submit button. The submit button is needed. We're going to use that down here. We'll look at that afterwards. Okay, so we have the close, we have the preferences, we haven't added any attributes yet, but let's keep building. This is for this close. We have two closes, and I will show you why we're going to do that. Okay, let's go and add a nice title in here. We're going to just build what we see in the docs. And I don't know where the hell we are here. Close. Let's add a little bit of color and size here so we can see what we're doing. Yeah, why not? Okay, we have a bit of background color, and now we know what we're doing. This will certainly not be an H1. We're going to call this the... Okay, there we go. I'm glad this happened. This is now over the form in Z-index. So what we had to do as an important style here is to go ahead and put this position relative. And for this example, we're going to make this a Z-index of 1, which will automatically put it above this close. So there we go. Let's do a max width, or let's just do a width of 500 pixels for fun. And let's just copy this text here. Privacy Preference Center. Let's go in here and Privacy Preference Center it. Let's go in here and do a text block, and we will definitely copy and paste this. Come on, give me a clean copy. Nice. Okay, you do not need all of this text. You should be clear about what this is doing. You don't need all of this. We took this from source online that had the more strict regulations of GDPR. Great. Now we need to go and add some allow elements. We need to go and put some checkboxes in here. Let's go do that. So I'm going to go in here and throw in a checkbox. Let's go checkbox here. And let's call this the FSCC prefs checkbox field. And I'm going to copy this whole class name so that we can go and use this. Let's call this the checkbox, and let's call this the checkbox label. Great. So let's go and make this custom. Let's make it a little cool. And I don't know, can we do the width here? Not that. Okay, so we have a nice big clear checkbox. Let's go and flex this so we can have this nice and lined up. We want to remove this auto. Here we go. Bam. And what else should we do here? Let's add a div in here that's going to give some more information about what this checkbox field is doing. So I'll go in here, I'm going to add an H4, and let's go and take some of this language here. This is going to be marketing. Marketing, I don't need to copy that. Let's copy this. Okay, so we have our marketing. We're going to add our text block, and that's going to have this big giant text. Great. Let's do a max width. I'm just going to do, I don't know, 400 here. If we're working, let's do a 600. Let's do a scroll. Okay. Here we go. Actually, why don't we just do this? We should have this label as the marketing. Let's go and change this here. Let's now make this a more obvious title. This is going to be our marketing. Great. And then we see that the person can check or not check marketing. Great. And even let's make it more similar to what we have in the example here. Can we? We can't change these? Okay, we can't change these. I'd like to flip this if possible. All right, let's do it with Flex. Forget it. I don't really care. We got to float. Okay, doesn't matter. We're going to keep this. It looks nice. Okay, this seemed to have moved out. What the heck is going on here? We have our submit button incorrectly in here. I do not like when there's navigator mess ups like this. Okay, cool. This is great. So we have our, let's call this the FSCC prefs category item. And there we go. Let's go and add just a little bit of separation here so we can see what's going on. We may change this afterwards. Okay, there we go. Look at this. We are starting to come together and we start to have what looks like a privacy preference center. So I'm now going to duplicate this, and let's just make sure we have everything we need here. We have our title, we have this, we have the checkbox. Good. All right, so let's duplicate this all throughout. Let's go. I'm going to copy and paste, and this will be analytics. This will be personalization. You can update this text here. I'm not going to update it right now because I do not care. And now we are going to make sure we have our buttons in place. Let's also get the essential in here. So I'm going to copy paste this, but we're actually just going to remove this, and we'll actually reuse this class name. So I'm going to go and remove this. I'm going to add an additional text block. Please just drag correctly. Please drag correctly. Great. Label. Always allowed. Great. So we have our essential, we have our marketing, we have our analytics, we have our personalization. They're all checkboxes. And now we're going to put the option of accepting, denying, or saving. So let's go do that. I'm going to go and add a button here. Button. We're going to call this the FSCC prefs. Let's call it the button. Yeah. And we're going to give that to each one of these. Give it, and give it. This submit one is going to be used as our save and close button. The other two are going to be allow and deny. So I'm going to change this to allow all cookies. And this is going to be deny all cookies. And this one will be save and close. Awesome. Okay, great. And just for now, let's give a button row here so that these can be separated. So I'm going to go FSCC prefs. Let's do button row, and this button row is going to have a flex, and everything is going to have some space in between. Awesome. Let's go and toss these in here. Toss, toss, and toss. And there we go. Look at this, starting to shape up. We have a privacy preference center in progress, brewing. All right. I'm also going to add, what else am I going to add? I'm not going to add anything right now. Let's get into the preferences. Let's make sure that we are, let's get into the attributes and make sure that we have all of our attributes. Do not need this. All right, first, FSCC preferences. Let's go and add that to the outermost element, not the close, which we'll get to. We're going to make it the outer element. FSCC preferences. Great. We have the FSCC close, right? We have this close element here. So we have it as an X. We're putting it as a big full element here so that you can click outside of the pop-up modal and it will close. We can also put an X button in here, but we're going to keep it as is. We have our allow button. Let's add it on the buttons. We have allow, deny, and submit. Let's go to FSCC allow, FSCC deny, and FSCC submit. Now this is the submit button on the form. You also have the option to hide this button and add a completely different button. So if I wanted to, I could go and hide this submit, duplicate another regular button, and give it that submit attribute. We're going to keep it as is. We don't care about that, but you do have the option to go and do that. So let's go in here and let's add a little bit of visual cues here. I'm getting ahead of myself. Hold on. We still have to apply these attributes to the checkboxes. This is super important. So we have FSCC checkbox. I'll go copy that. And we have marketing, personalization, analytics. So I'll go into marketing and I'm going to go new attribute, FSCC checkbox, and that's going to be marketing. We'll go to analytics. I will go and do analytics. And then we have personalization, which is personalization. Great. Okay, nice. I think we're pretty good here. This may even work without any further changes, which is exactly what we want. Let's do just a little bit here. I like to do this, have this as an add-on class so that we have the option to adjust all of these together in the event that we do want to do that. So I'm going to go and give each of these an add-on class. This will turn it into a combo upon changing. Save. And what's nice about doing it like this is now we can adjust the class for all three of them globally with the selector here. FSCC press button. Now we want to, I'm going to do it on this one though. Press button, and we are going to increase for everything, which is great. That's exactly what we want. We're going to keep it like this. I'm going to go and make this our nice blue, which I don't know the hex of. We're going to make this a dirty, nasty red, and save and close is going to be, it's going to be white with, let's say, nice blue text. Cool. Okay, so now we have some visual cues for the user to help them choose which of these buttons they want. Allow all cookies, deny all cookies, save, and close. Great. Now, let's go and test this. We've just set up the opt-in, opt-out banner in the last video. We set up the entire preference center in this video. And now let's go and add the cookie consent for Webflow script on the site and watch this work. We're actually going to skip this right now. we are first going to go and add our script to the page. Before we go on to the full setup, I want to just make sure that things are opening and closing correctly. That's really what has to happen here. So I'm going to go and copy this script. We have opt-in. We're not done yet, but if everything was set up correctly, if we have all of the attributes applied, if we have all the structure correct, then things should be opening and closing as we ask them to. So let's go and do that. I'm going to go and just confirm we have all three in here. Awesome. Let's go to the project settings. I will go to custom code, and I'm going to paste this in here. Great. Now the moment of truth. If you've been following along, this is, I don't know, a 30-minute full setup tutorial. And if we did it right, it's going to work. Here we go. We have just the banner. So far, so good. Let's allow open preferences. Nice. Let's open the preferences and bam, there we go. Look at that. Nice. We have the checkboxes all checked. And let's see if our close works. Close. Nice. Okay, we're working. And now let's uncheck a marketing. Let's save and close. Let's see if it's saved. Nice. There we go. Okay, now let's open this again. Let's deny all the cookies. See if it worked. It worked. Allow all the cookies. See if it worked. You know it worked. Absolutely. So there you go. We just set up the banner in the last video. We set up the preferences. We set up the manager. We added the script. We are not done yet. We have one more video to follow, and that's going to be adding attributes to our script tags. So we're going to add Google Analytics. We're going to add Facebook Pixel, and we're going to change the attributes on those so that we can prevent them from loading, and we'll watch the cookies show and not show inside the build. Thanks for watching. Check out more Finsweet videos to keep learning Webflow.